Good evening, this is Brian Lawrence with IndianPeaksWeather.net, your source for weather in Nederland, Colorado, and the surrounding foothills communities. Taking a look at our conditions today, we had a high of about 32 degrees, a low of about 22, giving us an average temperature of about 26.6 degrees. And what was interesting about today was it snowed most of the day, and I really didn't expect that. The winds have been predominantly from the west for the past several days, strong at times. We measured a wind gust up to 71 miles per hour here on Christmas Day, which actually blew over a few trees on our property. And these strong west winds, when they blow up and over the Continental Divide, they tend to downslope over our community, and so any precipitation tends to fall along the divide and mainly west of the divide in communities such as Winter Park, Granby, and up towards the Winter Park Ski Resort. Now, some of that snow does make it across the divide normally to the communities of Eldora and over to Brainerd Lake as well, but they're slightly higher than we are, around 9,000 feet. So today was a bit unusual in that precipitation actually did make it across the divide all the way over to our house, which is about 4 miles east of Nederland and about 12 miles to the east of the Continental Divide. We didn't have too much snow though, maybe an inch and a half, and it was really hard to measure because it was wind blowing. The winds picked up this afternoon and evening, and we were seeing gusts, as you can see here, over 50 miles per hour. Pretty strong, definitely tropical storm force winds. Winds are dying down now as the disturbance slowly pulls away from us. But as you'll see, our weather story over the next few days is going to feature generally calm conditions and seasonably mild temperatures, but the winds will continue to blow from the west, and that's very typical for the Nederland area this time of year. Taking a look at the Weather Underground map, you can see temperatures around our area right now, generally in the 40s in the plains here, upper 30s in Boulder. A little bit colder as you get out further into the high plains, mid-20s. And then of course in the mountain communities, depending on what the elevation you are at is, 24 degrees at our house here, 25 degrees in Nederland itself, and as you get closer to the Continental Divide, 18 degrees up towards Eldora. And looking along the divide, chilly, 9 degrees near Berthoud Pass, and 8 degrees at the top of the Winter Park Ski Resort mountain. And the winds are pretty strong up there at that elevation, 12,000 feet, generally about 40-45 miles per hour sustained. But as you can see, the winds are lightening up around here, and on the plains they're generally variable in light. Some of these higher temperatures you see through Boulder, Superior, and Broomfield down to Denver are the result of some warming as the winds come up and over the mountains. The Continental Divide's right here. The west winds rise up on the west side of the divide and then sink and warm as they flow down to the plains. And so you can see some of this warming and some what we call mechanical mixing near the foothills. As you get out further into the plains, there's less to mix the air. It's easier to set up an inversion, and the air cools off a lot quicker when it's not being moved or mixed by wind. And that's why I see these cooler temperatures here. So a chilly night out on the high plains. It gets pretty cold out there most nights during the winter. So what's in store for the weather for Nederland, Colorado into the New Year holiday? Well, today I've chosen to look at the NAM model, which is a short to medium range model. And what we're looking at here is what we call the 700 millibar chart. And this shows the wind flow at around 9,000 to 9,500 feet, maybe up to 10,000 feet. So just a little bit higher than where we're at in Nederland. But what's important to note here is that as I step through the next few days, starting with this evening, this is Thursday evening here, you'll notice that the winds are going to be predominantly from the west, blowing from basically the Pacific Northwest up and over and around through the central Rockies, including Colorado, and then across the plains and the southeastern United States. The green is moisture. So if I zoom in just a little bit here, there we go. You can see that as we step into Thursday morning, again, winds predominantly from the west-northwest. Not much moisture at this point. Most of that has moved out. So Colorado in general will be drying out during the day on Thursday. But the winds will continue, especially across the northern mountains here. And then as we proceed into tomorrow night, Friday morning, let's say midday Friday, as we get ready for our holiday weekend, same story, winds generally blowing from the west to the east. Not much moisture at this point, but what we tend to see with these types of weather patterns is you get these embedded disturbances, and there's one here that's slowly making its way across Oregon and Washington. There's one down here across Southern California, and you can see these disturbances by the fact that there's moisture. And this moisture is the result of lift generated by these storm systems, and resulting in clouds and in some cases precipitation as well. Pretty big storm forming up in New England here over the next couple days, going to bring some heavy snows to Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine, particularly a little bit into northern New York, my hometown, but mainly New England proper. And what this generally means is that this big storm will be forming over here near New England. Cold air is going to be funneling into the east for a few days. And with this big trough in the east, you'll see some more ridging in the flow in the west, which generally indicates warmer temperatures trying to make their way into the Central Rockies and Nederland, Colorado. Temperatures won't get too unseasonably mild. We're talking about temperatures during the daytime in Nederland, 35 to 40 degrees by Friday and Saturday. Definitely going to feel very pleasant compared to some of the really cold days we've had already this winter. As we proceed into the weekend, you begin to see some more moisture affecting the west side of the Continental Divide. Places like Steamboat and Winter Park and some of the Central Mountain resorts will at least have a chance of some precipitation. Doesn't look like a significant event though. I'm backing up here to Friday evening. You can see this system pull through, this moisture pull through. And we're right about here. We're, again, being on the east side of the divide, when the winds are from the west, we tend to get downsloped. Today was an exception. It was a pleasant surprise. I would not have expected accumulating snow today, but it did make it over the divide, which does occasionally happen here. And we'll check out the CoCoRaHS reports tomorrow morning to see what accumulations look like across the area. And then as we get into New Year's Eve, no big weather makers, except there is still plenty of moisture to the west side of the Continental Divide, meaning at least a chance of some snow showers through the mountains. Not much lift. And these red lines that you're looking at here, they signify lift in the atmosphere. So in Colorado, you can get precipitation a bunch of different ways. You can get it orographically, and that's just a fancy term for saying that the air is lifted up and over a mountain range or a mountain. And as it lifts, it cools, forms clouds, condensation results in precipitation, and so you get orographically or mountain enhanced precipitation. That you can get quite a bit of precipitation out of that, but it also helps to have some lift in the atmosphere itself, and that's what these red lines indicate, areas of lift in the atmosphere. The blue ones indicate areas of sinking air. And notice that there's really no organized lift in the atmosphere over Colorado at this point. Then as we step into New Year's morning, you see that we have a split flow situation where we have a southern stream storm, which is going to be moving to the south of us, but we may see some high cloudiness associated with it. And then we have a northern stream system here. And this is the one we're going to have to watch for early next week, particularly Monday evening through Tuesday. We expect to see a cold front approaching the area on Monday, and let's take a look at it at the surface. Here we go. So this is the surface map for New Year's Day, bright and early, about 7 a.m. And you can see there's a lot of cold air beginning to build up in Western Canada, in Nederland and Colorado or down here. And this is what we're going to have to watch over the next few days. Now the models are all over the place with this next system, but they tend to agree that there's going to be a pretty strong cold front pushing through Colorado. And then it looks like it might hang up somewhere between Wyoming and New Mexico. Again, the models are all over the place with this, and we have quite a few days to go to get to this weather event. The key is if this front stalls out somewhere across central Colorado, and then we have waves of energy traveling along that front, we could get some precipitation. And there's still plenty of precipitation to tap down here across Texas, Kansas, and Oklahoma. And this, as you can see with the storm system here, it's tapping moisture from the Gulf of Mexico. The end result of all this could be a prolonged period of light to sometimes moderate snow, starting Monday night, going through Tuesday, resulting in some light to moderate accumulations. It's really too early to talk accumulations at this point, but the general trend for the beginning of the new year is expected to be below normal temperatures with above normal precipitation. And I like to look at the Climate Prediction Center's 6 to 10 outlook, which goes from Tuesday, January 3rd, through the end of the week, the end of next week. And you can see they're predicting a really good chance of much below normal temperatures here in Colorado, and most of the country actually, with a swath of above normal precipitation across us. And that's part of that system on Tuesday and Monday and Tuesday that we need to keep an eye on. But we'll have more details about that. The remainder of the week, though, looks great. It's January in Colorado, and oftentimes in January we can have some very warm days. Don't tend to get a lot of snow in January. That usually comes in mid to late February, March, and April. But these are great days to get out and go skiing. It's cold, and it looks like some snow will be falling in the mountain resorts over the next few days. However, for us, and this is the Weather Underground forecast. Let's take a look at the National Weather Service forecast too while we're out of here. Here we go. Tonight, generally clear, breezy. It's always breezy in Nederland this time of year. Low of 15 degrees, not too bad. And then tomorrow we actually get above freezing. Yay, 35 degrees. And that's the trend for the next few days. Look at this, lots of sunshine on Friday. High of 43, a little bit of cool down on Saturday. Highs only getting into the low 30s. Lows at night generally in the upper teens, low 20s. And then we start seeing some moisture make its way into our area for the beginning of the new year. And the Weather Service right now is saying a chance of snow showers on Monday through Tuesday. I think that's a good call right now at this point until the models come to more of a consensus on how this next storm system is going to develop. Anyway, I'm glad you could join me tonight, and I'll be updating in a day or two. And I hope you're enjoying your holiday season.